Hello all, and welcome to our panel about DisCon 3. We're excited to have you here. We're excited about DisCon 3, and we hope to share a lot with you. That said, the main purpose here is for us to talk to you and listen to your feedback and what you have to say to us. On the panel today, we have me, I'm the moderator, Gadi. We have Colette and Bill, who are the chairs, and the amazing Lisa, who is working Balticon as we speak and makes sure our program will be amazing. Just to start us off, before we move on to the feedback section of this, I would like to just throw a curveball to Bill and ask him quickly about a memory he has from fandom and why he got to do all of this, which led him down the, I guess, very sad road and journey into becoming a chair.
So my journey in fandom convention running started back in 2007. Our local convention, Capclave, was going on and it was starting to get established and doing things. And I decided I wanted to meet Harry Turtledove. And since the chair of Capclave gets to pick guest of honor, I decided to run for chair. And that's how we ended up chairing my first convention, as I wanted to meet the guest of honor. So
you've already shown in the past that you're incapable of making good decisions. It's good to know you're there, sir.
Harry Turtledove was a great decision.
That is true.
That's my memory.
Fair enough. I think Colette, I don't even need to necessarily ask a question as she unmutes herself, but rather I can just throw the curveball there and see what she says. Colette.
Well, one of my favorite memories from fandom is my husband and I got married in 2004 in September. And so we threw a party at that year's Worldcon, DisCon IV, the last time Worldcon was on the East Coast. And, so we called it the, WedCon 1 party. And I realized then that how much fandom is a family, because I was at the door putting on like the party stickers, and 3 people came through from my husband's hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. And I saw like where they were on the badge, from where they're from on the badge, and they were just like, "Oh, hi, you might know that." I said, "You might want to talk to the groom. He's from Louisville also." And all 3 of them were just like, "Talk to the groom? Heck, I know the groom. Hey there, Chuck." And he was just delighted to see them there and have them pop up. And it just sort of really reminds me, and it's part of why I really do enjoy working Worldcon.
And you did learn that he's a keeper because of Worldcon, didn't you?
Yes, he made the ultimate declaration of love a couple years ago when he said, I really don't know why you want to chair this Worldcon, but well, okay. So, I mean, what more does a guy need to say?
Fair enough. So I will ask people in the chat to send their question through the Q&A. We will try to monitor the chat and make sure everybody's engaged, but we might be able to follow more closely and engage with you if it's in the Q&A itself. And Lisa, who has been taking care of our programming and doing amazing things for us, what have you got to share with us about, let's say, a program item, something you've recently done, some memory from fandom, something about DisCon 3? And you're muted. There we go.
I started back in fandom in the, I started in science fiction convention fandom in the early 2000s. I have some great memories of wandering around con space and being immediately welcomed into volunteering, which I started because it was a free badge. And me being a broke college student, I really wanted that badge. And then I found that I could just volunteer to do things and people appreciated it. And that was very wonderful. And I just love doing it.
Well, I would like to echo what Janie said. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. You can go.
Janie just said in the chat, volunteering, the first one is free. Which kind of carries across what fandom is to all of us. So on that note, this is going to be an amazing con. I don't, how long has the Worldcon not been in the East Coast now? 10 years? More?
Well, it depends on how it's the East Coast of North America. It's more recently. 2004, when it was in Boston, was the last time it was in the East Coast of the United States. So
And it's also been a couple of years since San Jose, since the Worldcon has been to the US. So we're expecting a large convention. I think recently closed more space, right, Colette?
Yes, very happy to announce that at the end of February this year, we signed a contract to have all of the function space at the Omni Showroom, in addition to all of the function space we have at the Marriott Wardman Park. And the very nice thing with those is that they are a walk across, basically a side street in DC from each other. So we will have, lots of information as to the quickest way to get there and the easiest way to get there. But they are very close to each other.
Fair enough. At this stage, I would also like to mention to Keith, who wrote in the chat, that I see what you're saying there. I'm not sure how to handle that as a question, so I would be very happy if you follow up with us and we can discuss that with you off the panel. And on that note, we have a suggestion/question from the audience, and I want to see how you guys handle that. Brainstorming suggestion from Roy. Invite Barack Obama to talk about why he reads science fiction and quote.
Okay.
Oh dear, we lost. Oh
dear, we lost our moderator.
Lost our moderator. Oh, no.
So the continuing of that was invite Barack Obama to talk about why he reads science fiction. He's pretty sure that he is the only president who has included SF on his released reading list.
So, Lisa is in charge of programming. She can decide whether, we want to include him as one of our program participants.
Well, I mean, in truth, the other thing is that if you think about it, George W. Bush's wife is the one who started the National Book Fest.
Oh, yeah.
So, there is, within the presidential history, there are some very supportive people who have been involved.
I mean, I would say that would be great, but it would kill our budget.
Only if we had to pay for him. So.
So we have.
Maybe we could, if we do have some more, not as well known, more connected to fandom politicians who have a little more time. That might be something we could do. Like AOC has gone into Animal Crossing to hang out with her constituents.
Nice.
So, it might be the sort of thing where we could look a little lower down and maybe actually possibly be able to snag someone who is a gamer or does read sci-fi or something like that.
All right. Well, I believe I am back. And we have a question, and it's a question I think we all expected seeing, but not necessarily in this format. Essentially, Alec is asking us about not having necessarily time to go to conventions and virtual, making it possible and accessible to a lot of other people. I hope I'm getting this right. Is there some sort of thought of creating a virtual component to Worldcon or a separate virtual, forgive me for saying, and an analogy because I don't want to make a precise analogy there, but a not speak like virtual or something of the sorts. What are your ideas around virtual in general?
What, you want this one?
Sure. Thank you for that question. Bill and I had already, started discussions on making some aspects of DisCon III, available online, through either like streaming panels or doing certain activities like that. Certainly, with the decision for Con Zealand this year to go completely virtual in light of the world situation, we're going to watch to see what they do and how people interact with it. But there always has been a feeling to be able to have some aspects of DisCon III available online.
With, of course, the stipulation you all understand that the people who are participating have to agree to do it, because we're not going to force anybody to be online if they don't want to be. And of course, the volunteer list. Always volunteer for your convention, because volunteers, we can't do it. The number of people that Balticon is using to make sure things are happening online is phenomenally large. So if you have knowledge and experience, we need you. And then of course there's the cost, because physically setting up the rooms with cameras, as well as boards and text, and everybody has to have a microphone. So all those things add to the cost. And so there are some limitations that can happen. So, just make sure we keep people a little realistic on what we can offer. But then again, the budget may be there and we can do more, and we want to do more.
Which brings us to the chat again with Linda, of course, always bringing in some wisdom, saying a retrospective about Balticon and Conzealand might teach us a lot to make this decision later on. And to answer Eva, or Eva, forgive me for not knowing how to pronounce your name, to volunteer, just go to our website. We look for volunteers. We're happy to have volunteers. Feel free to email us or contact us in any way the website shows. And thank you for that. So with that, as we expect more questions to come in, I have a question to the panel. What is something cool we're doing this year? What are some events we're thinking about or things we're planning that might surprise people?
All right, I'll take this one first.
Go for it.
Because I'm going to talk about one of Gadi's favorite things that we've been talking about doing. And actually the hotel's kind of excited about it too.
Which is absolutely insane that the hotel supported us on this.
Absolutely. The thing is that we do want to allow more people to be involved, and we know that the cost of memberships are expensive. So our plan is to bring in a dunk tank, and we will have people who will be available to be dunked. Dave McCarty, who chaired ChiCon 7, has agreed to be the first person to sit on the dunk tank. And because everybody loves Dave so much, we're going to allow people the opportunity to purchase the first ball through an auction, because, everybody wants to dunk Dave. So, and the hotel actually was like, let us check with our insurance. That sounds really cool. So it's something we can do. And of course, I myself will go up there and be there available for people to dunk if they want to. I will not speak on behalf of my co-chair, but if she's willing to, I'm sure nobody will want to dunk her. So that's one of our things. And it's a way to raise money to help future Worldcons bring people in who might not be able to afford to come otherwise. That's mine.
I think if you're wondering about some of our other events, I will toss that question to our events division head, Gadi, who is our moderator today.
I am the moderator. I should not actually provide any value here aside to being funny, starting, and if I might say so myself, quite attractive. I will add that one of Bill's favorite things is adding orchestras in this similar sort, and we are discussing with several of those that have a game or gaming in their name. That's all I'm going to say on that for now.
So, but we're really looking forward to working with a lot of the science agencies that are, generally have their headquarters in Washington, D.C., where, we are able to get, excellent personnel to come contribute to programming, some exhibits. One of the reasons we wanted to bring the Omni Showroom, into our space portfolio is to be able to have a lot of room for us to attract a lot of talent from the local, just basically the brain trust here in Washington, D.C., who have had a history of being able to participate and being very enthusiastic to participate at Worldcons. And, we're just a metro ride away. So, Lisa, do you have anything you want that you'd like to contribute?
I would like to address some of the comments in the Q&A. I am possibly the youngest person as a div head. And, and yes, I did grow up with video games and TV shows as part of my consumption. I don't know what you're saying.
No, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but honestly, I am so excited to say that DisCon 3 will have video gaming.
Yeah,
We will have a video game room.
There are some. So
I'm so excited about
DC
that.
has some very well-known anime and video game conventions, and I am planning on approaching people from there to run certain sections, such as an arcade hall, which would be next to the regular gaming area. I don't know if people are familiar with Bagfest, but this is what they do. Music and gaming festival. There is Otakon locally. There is Anime USA. There is Worldcon. I plan on tapping them to help run these areas and bring in a lot of people, because I do think games and TV and movies are very important in the way that particularly young people think about and consume our science fiction and fantasy. And yes, we do, Bethesda is nearby. I don't know how open they will be. There is also north of Baltimore, there is Firaxis, which does Civilization. I have attempted to reach out to them in the past, but maybe I can get a little more leeway with Worldcon.
And I do want to add here that the biggest attraction, I believe, to young people, as I'm going to blame Lisa on the chat for telling us about, is the Westfest meeting, especially if it goes through all the way to the next week. I think we shouldn't ignore these things. They've been there for a while. They're traditional, and young people do appreciate them.
Recreational bureaucracy can be a game for some people. So, there's that. And we have discussed potentially having popcorn for people to enjoy during the business meeting. Others have suggested we arrange for the Omni Showroom to set up a mimosa bar in the back. We're not making any promises on that.
Fair enough. So to bring this into the context of the questions, one of them was indeed about what else other than the literary facet that we're going to bring in, which I believe is what Philip was aiming for. I hope I got that correctly. And William, who essentially talked about the younger people. So one of the questions there is, what are we going to do to try and advertise to them, to try and tap into that potential? What are our ideas around trying to reach these young people with the attractions we have?
So that's the challenge right now, because we've been planning to go to the anime conventions and stuff here in the area, and we're still hoping to be able to get to AwesomeCon, which will be in May of 2021, and I believe the Science Fiction Outreach Project is planning to be there, which is run by Helen Montgomery and gives out free books to people at conventions like that. So, but one of the things that our wonderful social media team has done on some outreach is that we are getting people, and we're going to be doing more talks on podcasts. So if people have podcasts and like to talk to, any of our upper level staff, we can arrange for that. We're talking about some books here coming up on some future podcasts. Other things is we're willing to talk to people. I actually, at the end of today, I am talking to Jing Su, who's doing an article for the Financial Times about Worldcon stuff, and they're focused a little more on the Chinese bid, but we've already done one interview and she has some follow-up questions, so that's what I'm doing this afternoon, which helps us reach to other markets. But also it's, I think, our plan to bring in and do the things with anime. So we've also discussed, this is very old school, but once things are back in place, we may actually be looking at some bus/metro ads. And because it gets out there. I mean, if you look at like AwesomeCon and their advertising, it does include that. So, people who are in the area, we can see that. But also trying to make sure people hear about our guests. And we're always working to bring in more and new people. We've discussed on the programming side, panel stuff that deals with presentations from scientists, because the always awesome NASA astronaut type panels are always really well received. And
do not talk about NASA. We're not supposed to talk about that.
But we were fortunate that if anybody who was at Dublin, they got a chance to hang out and meet Dr. Jeanette Epps, who is amazing. So there's these opportunities, and there's things that we want to do before and during the con as well. So we're still developing things. So if people have ideas on how we can reach other people, let us know, because we need help finding it.
Which is amazing, because right now we have a question in the Q&A coming from Samuel asking how people on the chat, how these fans, how these Smurfs, how these people engaged with us can actually help us promote. How do we allow these people to help us?
I think probably one of the best ways now is we have DisCon III has a fabulous social media team that has been doing a lot of work on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. And so share those posts on your, on your own social media and help spread the word to your friends. Keep in touch with us on our, maybe volunteer, and also because just say, hey, I'd love to help promote you, promote you guys. What can I do? Like I'm scheduled for a podcast at the end of June for Hugo Girl. And so once we once we promote that, then again, you can also promote that on. And then also just, if you have an idea, or if you're seeing another community that you're involved in that is promoting a certain way and you think it's being effective and you don't see us doing it, let us know. We've got a pretty broad range of experience, but we're always looking for new ideas as to what might work for us, because, certainly promoting DisCon III, the face of that has changed, very much so in the last 8 weeks or so.
So looking at the chat, people are engaged with what we're saying. I'm pretty sure things will change, and these are more ideas. But for example, Linda tells us about the first Star Trek convention in 1972 that ran some ads and skipped up from 300 to 3,000 people. How are we prepared to handle the influx of people that will come in after there hasn't been a Worldcon on the East Coast for that much time, and now the first one in the US after 2 years? Are we prepared for any of that, or are we gonna just flail in the air? What do you guys think?
Well, of course we're gonna flail in the air. I mean, what else are we doing?
Well, the nice thing is that part of that is knowing that is the planning. And we've talked about, as you see, we've already expanded space availability. So we have both the Marriott Wardman Park as well as the Omni Shoreham. We've designated things there. So like we're gaming, and the gaming arcade video gaming stuff is going to be at the Omni Shoreham. The business meeting is going to be at the Omni Shoreham. And I believe currently our plan is to do our science track panels at the Omni Shoreham. So spreading things out so people can go there, and there's a lot of function space. I believe I can safely say that we could handle 10,000 without really a stretch, which would be much bigger than any U.S. Worldcon in person has been since LA.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, clearly, we brought in the space. We're going to see where the membership numbers are. This is, standard plug. We have a rate rise for DisCon III that goes into effect on June 2nd. We've been able to hold our membership rates stable since we won the bid in Dublin last year.
Unheard of.
But yes, and so, you can reach out to us to check your registration status. And the number one thing that we are making sure to offer is that with the initial payment of $45 to obtain a supporting membership, if you do want to attend, we can put you on an installment plan, because we do realize that this has been an unprecedented time financially for many people. And then you have until the end of July 2021 to complete the payments on your installment plan. If you voted in site selection and you are currently a supporting member, just let us know that you would like to go on an installment plan for the remainder of your attending membership.
So as we started moving into the weeds here, before we do that, actually, I want to thank Sonia for giving credit to Balticon's social media. It has been terrific. I think Balticon in general has been terrific, and we're happy for the opportunity to talk here about our own Worldcon. So thank you, especially as much of the stuff is kind of intermingled. So I'm
People
biased.
are learning together.
Thank you. People are learning together. But we do have a question about programming, which I'm going to turn to Lisa. People want to know when to get engaged, how to send you thousands and thousands of ideas and get personal answers on each one of them. So if you don't mind addressing that.
So the answer is we are not currently set up to collect ideas with a form. I unfortunately have to do a lot of administrative back-end fleshing things out before we can collect ideas, but you are welcome to volunteer to get onto the brainstorming mailing list when it exists, because a lot of the stuff will be happening through email. Again, go to DisCon III's website and get over to the volunteers. And you don't have to sign up for one of the positions that we have there. You are, at some point, we will start sending out emails, but right now we're just trying to flesh out a lot of the skeleton.
Fair enough. So at this point, I would like to remind you that you are here to ask us questions and you're allowed to be mean because I'm the moderator. But on that note, I would like to shift it up a bit and see what we can in fact say about our top secret NASA plans, Bill.
Well, I mean, obviously I mentioned, we at Dublin, we had a chance to speak with Dr. Jeanette Epps, one of the astronauts with NASA. And she's, as things calm down, although she's being pulled into future programs, she said she's going to be willing to work with us because she loves the DC area and she wants to be involved. And there's a fair number of people who are in the DC area who are involved with NASA and the programs. So it's a multi-channel plan for us. It's not just the astronauts being there. We have access to NASA. This Goddard Space Center is nearby. The Air and Space Museum is nearby. So there's potential that we're going to be reaching out to them to see if there are any things that we could get that they just aren't currently exhibiting that they'd let us have. And we've got space to put that kind of stuff in. In addition, like one of the things we've talked about, and we're going to share work with other people who are experts at this. We've had a good relationship with Destination DC, the DC Tourism Board. So we're going to work with them to pre-convention arrange for a tour buses that will take people from the Marriott Warbin Park out to the Udvar Hazy Center, where we hope our plan for that, if it works out, will be to have an astronaut standing next to the shuttle talking about the space program as a value added for our people. The other thing is that it's not just NASA. We've got all sorts of Smithsonian museums, and the National Zoo is more than a few steps, but it's very close. So, one of the things that we've seen other Worldcons do well, and you always steal good ideas, is they've done the morning walk with the stars. So one of the things we're discussing, if the weather's good, is to have the morning walk with the stars going up and maybe through into the National Zoo. And then, of course, there's amazing panda breeding programs as well as other endangered species breeding programs. So we'd love to try and bring some of their people in to give presentations and talks. And unfortunately, no, we're not going to get a little red panda who will be able to come and hang out at the convention. Or I don't think we'll be able to get the penguins to go walking through the space, although that would be totally cool.
I will challenge you on that, sir, and I demand an answer. I would like to know, what are your plans to send into space all these poor animals from the zoo? That is unacceptable.
Send
no space
into
animals.
Space? No. I don't think they'll let us.
That was when the Air Force was still running things back in the 50s.
Fair enough. There was a question here about volunteering and hearing back from us. We're just now starting to engage a lot of volunteers. That said, if you're not heard from us and you would like to be more involved before we reach out to you, please contact us. And if there is any specific issue, just send us an email. We are very happy to respond to that. So on that note, I would like to turn to Lisa again. And I would like to ask you specifically, of all people, have you seen anything interesting in Balticon this week in the way things worked or in the content that you put in that you would like to also copy and steal for Balticon? Because we have you here.
Worldcon, maybe?
I think it's really amazing that so many of our scientists have been willing to continue the conversation after their presentations. And I would love to be able to, presentations are the easiest thing to broadcast out, to be honest. And if we are looking at doing some broadcasting, I would love to do that sort of engagement where we broadcast out and then say, join us afterwards in the discussion online with the presenter. Especially because so many of the scientists get so many questions. That has been something that I've loved, is going in and seeing Tom Holtz, doing a Q&A session for an additional 30 minutes on Discord past the end of his presentation. That is something that I would love to pick up, and definitely for the international people.
Thank you. Colette, something that will be aimed at you, if you don't mind. Well, even if you do, I already asked you and it's public, so it's too late for that now. Do you have any special plans for the staff of volunteers? Are we all gonna wear, for example, tiaras?
Not really at this point, because, well, yeah, I mean, people need to. I'm wearing my customized headwear so I'm a moving target, and people know where to people can spot me at range. But I know certainly we're going to work with our volunteers, and really one of the things I'm really looking forward to is I have a diverse con running history, working with MagFest, working with anime conventions, and I really am very excited about bringing that diverse experience to Worldcon on the staff, so that we really get just a great variety. So we are going to be working with bringing in new people, and as always, working to support our staff as best we can to help them be able to implement their great ideas.
Fair enough. I personally do demand a tiara because I'm a demanding person, but that's fair enough. We do have a question that I think we should have expected, and that is, what are our contingency plans? If COVID-19 eats again, what are we going to do about it?
I think at this point, all we can do is we can monitor the situation, and we will, again, we were going to look at having a virtual aspect already. We'll clearly be monitoring the international travel situation for international restrictions, and again, one of the things that we were we rotate in all the pivoting to online presentations. One of the nice things we can say that we can do, that we can possibly accommodate with bringing on the Omni Shorm, is, hey, more room to social distance. So at this point, all we can say is really at this point, we will keep an eye on the situation, and that, we will keep our members informed and the public informed as best we can as our plans develop.
All right. At this stage, I would also like to tell everybody on the chat that while we can't address all your program ideas, I fully expect Lisa will personally contact you herself, not her staff, all the thousands of ideas, and make sure that you get your personal attention, because I love adding to her travels in a weekend when so busy with Balticon. No, but we do take these suggestions seriously, and thank you. Please keep them coming.
So the tiara that you're going to be making for Lisa will need to include daggers that can be shared with Gadi.
In New Zealand, there is a wonderful person there called Linnell, who kind of does everything at the con. And I started this kind of escalation with her, where every time I would do something, or she would bad, which I often do, or she would do something for me, I would order some chocolate. I currently owe her 45 kilograms. For you Americans who don't know how much that is, I don't know how to translate it, sorry. But it's about 45 kilograms in chocolate. So I'm kind of worried about these kinds of escalations, and maybe I should take back what I just said to Lisa and just apologize and thank her. But we do have some questions coming in here. Speaking of COVID-19, you just mentioned social distancing. Lisa, how do you think, if that happens, and it's very likely or possible, I'm not an expert that it won't, how are we going to handle social distancing in programming?
I would think there would be a lot more virtual components if social distancing still has to remain in place. I will say that we managed to pull the virtual Balticon off in 2 months of prep. So if we have to do the same continuing into Worldcon in DC, we will have a lot of practice by then. I have been preparing myself to assist Con Zealand with a lot of the unseen things that go into this. And Con Zealand has been training their staff with us. So I suspect there would be a lot more of that going on in the next year. It would mean certainly a lot more streamed content. It would mean the reduction, if we had stuff online, it would mean the reduction of certain kinds of items.
Fair enough.
It is a long way away.
One other thing to add to that is for the largest items, the masquerade, as well as the Hugo ceremony, we do have within our contract the 2 channels that will be able to broadcast into rooms, individual sleeping rooms for those events. So people who might be a little more concerned about having, you know, thousands of people in one room, they can stay in their own room and watch it there live. So that is there, and that option for some other panels that might be highly interested in. There's a good chance that we'll be able to stream those live into rooms, so people can be there and feel safe and keep a little more distance.
So we do have some very interesting discussion in the chat about how much chocolate in pounds is 45 kilograms. Thomas believes it's around 90. Dave sent in around 99. I'm not sure it's supposed to be math. I'm disappointed in you, chat. I said something wrong on the internet and you have not yet corrected me. But also, on that note, we have a favorite chocolate thing going on, such as it's going to be dark chocolate, Cadbury, Toblerone. So I'm not sure I think I opened Pandora's box and I should be careful about promising chocolate to people. And on that note, we have a technical question, which I'm honestly not sure we have the answer about yet. So I'd like to ask Fred, who happens to be here at the capacity.
I think we can hold off on probably giving it to, sorry, I saw that question, and I think we're just going to say the infrastructure can support what we can afford to purchase.
Yes, that's why I was going to pop in and say that they have good infrastructure. It's a matter of cost, as Colette says, but absolutely good infrastructure there.
I think we just and going back to the chocolate thing, we think we rounded up to 200 pounds that Gadi buys. I got 200. Anybody go 250? 250. And we can have a mix.
400 pounds.
A chocolate fountain. Okay.
Oh, a dunk tank? Okay, I'm up for that.
That'd be a little hot, and we don't want to eat that after we've been dunked.
All right. So here is a question that came in from William. As I understand it, the host convention can add a one-time only category concerning the Hugos. Am I right about that? And if so, have you thought of doing that? So I'm gonna say, as the head of events, I'm gonna run away from that question and give it to people far more capable of answering it. Please go, Bill.
Oh, Colette's got this one. She's ready.
Yes, that decision, you are correct that a committee can do a one-time only committee Hugo Award. There are no, there has not been a plan or a decision at this time to do that. So there's your, we haven't decided that yet. So answer.
Very good. So we will get back to you on that at some point in the coming future. I will say that mint chocolate is a horrible idea, and I don't like you anymore, Gary, even though up to now I thought you were amazing. This is internal chat between the panelists and tech. I just want to call that out. And I've been to Australia recently, and I saw a lot of mint everything, and I don't really understand that. I love Australia, but that's the only thing I kind of couldn't wrap my head around. There is a question from Billy. Are there any plans or hope for music at Worldcon? Something along the lines of what happened in London? The answer is yes, and I would love, as the head of events, to once again run away as the moderator and give it to Bill.
Well, so there are multiple plans in place. Once again, limitations on people willing to come and budget. There are some really cool things in the area. We have contacts with the Gamer Orchestra, which is in the area. Obviously, there's other groups and sounds. And there's, when you get into music, obviously we'll have standard folk, but there's other things that we can do, and we'll do outreach on those aspects to include them. We have space. One of the things that has come up in the past 6 months was longtime fan and con runner Judy Bemis. We were at SMOFCon and we were talking, and she's like, I want to volunteer. What do you want me to do? And my question was, well, what are you passionate about? And she's like, well, I like Filk and I'm a big fan history person. I'm like, well, what do you think? Let's do a Filk history exhibit. So we talk about that, but then let's even include in that exhibit a Filk circle so that we can have ongoing activities there in the exhibit hall and include that kind of music. But then also there's things like, and this is touching a little bit on some Lisa stuff, is we've talked about doing some after midnight programming. So late night stuff, which could include some things like Rocky Horror Picture Show after midnight, which some people want to go to parties, other people want to do panels. There's things where people can be interested in doing that. And who knows, there might be something music related wise. I don't know if we want to start the day off with a rock concert, but there's several of the conventions in Virginia have some pretty solid music tracks, things that are going on. And so we know all the convention runners, so we have contacts with those people. So there's potential for some music that is not Filk as well as things that are Filk.
Okay, Lisa, I think you would probably like to pick up on that yourself.
Why don't you unmute?
Yes. Randy Hoffman is my music person. He is very fond of expanding way past Filk. He is tuned into video game music, electronica. He pulls it in for his own stuff, people who would not be out of place at MagFest. So I do plan on letting him basically have his way and have a very broad lineup of music that is beyond what I have, for instance, usually had at Balticon, which does
traditional.
Heavily. Yes, I plan on letting him reach out to the interesting DJs, people who have performed at MagFest. He has a very large list of people he can talk to.
Which probably means that
and music will be getting their own room.
Which means we'll probably be talking to
time to do many different performances.
We'll probably be talking to Scalzi to see if he wants to do his dance party, which has been going on at some conventions as well as Worldcon recently. So if he wants to do it, we'll have room for him.
So I see Linda pushing quite strongly the idea of inviting John Williams.
Thank you. Thank you for that suggestion.
I think I will not speak on our behalf, but I believe people know that convention committees have reached out to John Williams multiple times, and I don't believe he's ever been a guest. I'll just put it that way.
Fair enough. I think we're going to start wrapping up soon, and I would like to tap Colette for this. What is your vision? What is the coolest thing that could happen? What is your mission statement in life? I mean, about Worldcon generally.
Oh, that's a difficult one. So thanks for that.
I appreciate appreciating my question.
Mostly having come to chairing a Worldcon from over 20 years of working with volunteer science fiction conventions and feeling like I enjoy this work enough that I'm now an independent event planner with a lot of free time right now. But for myself, I like to see the community that has built itself around Worldcon and doing what we can here in Washington, D.C. to not only honor sort of the community, the Worldcon community that is already there, but really work to introduce a lot more people to it. One of the goals of DisCon III is to keep membership costs, lower than they have traditionally been, because we are very fortunate in the way we have our facilities. And so we want to be able to make it more accessible to more people that way. Again, we already had the plans already to have some virtual activities and panels. And so really, taking a little bit to what Lisa had said earlier, where, she volunteered for a convention and was sort of hooked, I've been very happy to work with several, recent Worldcons where it has been in a new city for the first time, Helsinki, Finland in 2017, Dublin, Ireland in 2019. And I've been so happy to see people volunteering for a Worldcon for the first time because it was in their city, and then coming back year after year because they really, really enjoy it and they enjoy the people they work with. So, what I'm really looking to try to do is, as a co-chair, set up the organization and be a nurturing, encouraging, leader to really give people the space to bring their passions to Worldcon, which again is what, Bill and I both feel very strongly about. So that, I guess that's, a mission statement, but that's certainly, really one of the things that I'm looking forward to, bringing here to DisCon 3.
I have to admit that working DisCon 3, some organizations I've been a part of are very professional, some of them are very productive, some of them are a lot of fun. DisCon 3, much like some other events I've been a part of before, not all, is all of these things. So I'm excited. And I can say, not just programming, if you have ideas for events, please feel free to reach out. There is a question, I would like to stop our summary run. There is a question about diversity. What are we doing for diversity? How are we planning for diversity, both for the con and in programming? Lisa, do you think you can pick on that?
In the last few years, I have been reaching out to include the diverse writers and artists of speculative fiction in more Balticon programming. They are local to this region. So I plan on engaging them even more to bring them in to do items, to say, do you have any things that you would like to do specifically at the con that I can put you in charge of? I also hope to reach out to some more international people and bring them in as well, especially if we are doing the virtual component. At Balticon, we had one person from New Zealand and one person from Australia. I'm not sure how much we can do with China, but I would certainly like to try.
So on the China thing, obviously, one thing we haven't talked about here is that one of the requirements for Worldcon is to run the site selection for the 2023 Worldcon. And currently we have 3 cities that are bidding, which include Nice, France, Memphis, Tennessee, as well as Chengdu, China. So we will have, the expectation is that we will have more fans from China who will be involved with coming to the convention and potentially doing other things. So that aspect is there. And we're not just going to depend on that. We'll obviously be doing outreach to other people because they are doing a lot of really interesting things. And for those of us who have been watching a lot of Netflix, watching South Korean dramas, watching those the science fiction South Korean dramas have been a mainstay in the household here. Just to note, somebody did ask a question in the Q&A about some time on Discord. I won't be there a super long time, but I can guarantee at least a half hour over in Discord in the DisCon 3 chat, just to let that go.
And this is a good time to say that we will be on Discord continuing this discussion. So if you look at the chat right now, you can see Eric writing down the details of where to go and how to chat with us. So continuing our round, Bill, I've tried to think of something to trip you up. Unfortunately, you guys, like Colette doesn't trip, and I try all the time. But what is your kind of thing? Where do you see this going? Where do you want us to reach?
User experience is always one of the things I talk about. I want to make sure people are there. I want to make sure they're having a good time. I want to make sure that they're having opportunities to interact. So we're willing to try new things. One of the things that we believe we're going to be able to do is a Tiki Bar as one of the outlets for people to hang out at. Tiki bars are fun. And also, making sure that people know from our guide all the great restaurants that are near the hotel, as well as the wonderful gin bar that's down the hill from the hotel that has excellent bartenders who know their stuff and a lot of great syrups and gins to drink from.
I think that Dublin is the first Worldcon to not run out of beer. What do you intend to do to make sure that happens again for us?
Challenge
Drink
accepted.
less. We have some thoughts on that. We didn't get a chance to talk about some of the reception things we're hoping to do to increase that fan interaction. But so sadly, we're getting really short on time.
Fair enough. Lisa, any final words?
I don't think so. I will see people on Discord.
Sounds good to me. So on that note, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you putting up with my humor. I'm telling you, Colette has to do it all the time. Trust me. And on that note, volunteer for us. We're pretty cool. We have cookies on the dark side, but we're correct in English. And we appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you for
tuning in. We were the home
in.
of the great cookie conspiracy at one time.
You were? Okay, I'm learning new things here. Bye, everybody. See you on Discord.
Thank you so much.